Elena didn't mean to cry that night. It just happened, quiet, exhausted tears in a kitchen that hadn't had a working light bulb in weeks. The anniversary of her husband's death always tore the ground out from beneath her, but year two felt heavier. Maybe it was the bills stacked like a small wall beside the toaster. Maybe it was Maya sleeping in the next room with a cough she couldn't afford another clinic visit for. Maybe it was the weight of pretending to be strong for too long. She held her phone like it was the only thing keeping her upright. It was a familiar habit, sending a voice message to the number that used to belong to her husband. She knew no one was there. Knew it was pointless. But the act felt like a breath she couldn't take any other way. "Hey," she whispered. "Rent's late again. I'm doing my best. Maya misses you. I miss you. I'm tired. I don't know how much longer I can keep holding everything together." She hit send before she lost her nerve. Across the city, in a penthouse that looked more like a museum than a home, Julian Ether tapped through diagnostics on an old test phone his team used for network checks. A notification pinged, a voicemail, clearly a wrong number. He pressed play anyway. A woman's voice filled the room. Raw. Honest. Too tired to hide anything. Something inside him stilled. He'd heard desperation before, negotiations, boardrooms, last-minute investor calls, but this wasn't business. This was heartbreak in its purest form. He should have deleted it. Instead, he whispered, almost involuntarily, "Everything will be all right." Then he typed it and hit send. Elena stared at the message pulsing on her screen. A stranger had answered her ghost. And by morning, he would change everything. Elena barely slept. The message replayed in her mind every time she closed her eyes. "Everything will be all right." A stranger had said it, but it hit harder than anything she'd heard in years. She convinced herself it was nothing. A kind mistake. Life didn't change because someone texted back. But life was already shifting. Julian walked into the Ether boardroom calmer than he felt. Executives filled the long table. Marcus Thorne, the COO and self-declared future king of the company, tapped his pen with predatory anticipation. The family attorney cleared her throat. "Julian, the voting trust agreement expires at midnight before your 35th birthday. If you are not legally married at that moment, your classified shares revert to standard voting rights." In simpler terms, he would lose control of Ether. Marcus leaned back, smug. 24 hours. A marriage license isn't paperwork you can rush, Julian. Even you can't negotiate time. Julian didn't react, but his hands tightened around the folder. He'd rebuilt Ether from the wreckage of his father's empire. He wouldn't hand it to Marcus, a man with ambition but no loyalty. He needed a solution. Someone he could trust. And suddenly, he heard the voice from the night before. A woman carrying more weight than anyone should. A woman who didn't ask for anything. Her message had split something open inside him. That afternoon, Elena finished her shift cleaning the hospital's night floors. She tied her hair back, checked her phone, and prepared for the usual routine. Rush home, pick up Maya, stretch groceries like elastic. A message blinked onto her screen. "Is this Elena?" Her stomach dropped. "Yes." "Who is this?" "Julian Ether. You sent me a voice message last night. I'd like to speak to you in person." "Why?" She typed, heart racing. "Because I think I can help." Another pause. "I'm outside." She turned toward the glass entrance. A man in a dark coat stepped out of a black sedan, the winter wind tugging at his hair. He looked nothing like her world. Calm, composed, impossibly controlled. He looked directly at her. And Elena knew her life was about to collide with his. Elena hesitated by the glass door. Her badge still hung around her neck. Her shoes were damp. She did not feel like the kind of woman approached by someone like him. "Elena Harper?" he asked when she stepped outside. His voice was softer than she expected. "You're the wrong number," she said. He almost smiled. "Yes. I wanted to talk to you about that." I'm sorry about the message, she rushed. I wasn't thinking straight. You don't owe me anything. You don't have to respond. I did respond, he said. That's why I'm here. She tucked her hair behind her ear, suddenly self-conscious. He didn't look at her with pity, just honesty. You sounded like someone holding everything together alone for too long, he said. I know that tone. I've lived with it. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Because I'm running out of time, he said. And because last night, I heard someone I could trust. You don't even know me. Maybe I don't have to. Maybe the truth in your voice told me more than most people tell me in years. What do you want from me? She whispered. He exhaled. Something that will sound insane, but I need you to hear it. She didn't move. I need a wife before midnight. Someone I can trust enough to sign a marriage certificate with. Her world snapped. No. This is insane. I know. But it's not a trick. You're asking the wrong person. I'm asking the only person who didn't try to use me. Her chest tightened. I don't need charity. This isn't charity, he said. It's an agreement. I take care of your debts, your rent, and Maya's future. You help me keep my company. At the mention of Maya, something inside her flared. How do you know her name? You said it, he said gently. In your voicemail. Heat filled her cheeks. Shame, grief, anger. You can say no, he added softly. I'll walk away. But I need someone who doesn't break easily. Someone like you. Her heart hammered. She didn't know whether to run or listen. Hours later, Elena found the eviction notice taped to her door. Bold red letters. A deadline she couldn't outrun. Julian hadn't lied. Rent overdue. Late fees equal to her entire paycheck. Vacate date fixed. She folded the notice with trembling hands and sat beside her sleeping daughter. What choice do I have? If they were evicted, where would they go? Who would take them in? What kind of future would Maya have? Sometime around 4 a.m., she whispered into the quiet. I can't let her lose everything. And suddenly, the idea wasn't insane. It was survival. At dawn, Julian texted. I'll be near your building at noon if you want to talk. Julian. Not pressure. Just a door left open. She replied. We talk. She stepped outside at noon. The world looked washed out with cold light. Julian was already there. I thought about it, she said. Tell me everything, she added. No filters. No corporate language. He handed her a folder with 3 documents and 1 handwritten note. If I lose ether, thousands lose the stability my father built. I don't trust anyone with it except someone who has nothing to gain from lying to me. She looked up. You really only have until midnight. Yes. And you chose me? I didn't choose you, he said quietly. Your honesty did. She swallowed. What happens to me after the year is over? You walk away debt-free, secure, with a fund for Maya. No obligations. Why the fund? Because no one helped me when I needed it, he said. I won't make you pay that cost. Her chest twisted. No expectations. None. No personal conditions. None. She studied him. He wasn't selling fantasy. He was offering truth. I don't stop working, she said firmly. I keep my dignity. Of course. The agreement only works if you stay who you are. She inhaled, feeling something shift inside her. Then here are my conditions, she said. I sign nothing today. I need to see your world first. I need proof, transparency. And if I feel unsafe, I walk away. Then you walk, he said without hesitation. Her breath trembled. Fine, she whispered. Show me your world. Julian opened the car door, not as a gesture of superiority, but invitation. Elena, he said softly, I'm not saving you, and you're not saving me. We're making a deal, but it will be fair. She held his gaze. Then she got into the car. Not because she trusted him, but because fear had ruled her life for too long. Long enough, and when the door finally closed, something subtle shifted in the air. It felt like the beginning of a marriage neither of them had wanted, yet both desperately needed. The ride to Julian's world felt much longer than it truly was. Silence lay between them like a third presence, not awkward, just heavy with everything they weren't saying. Elena kept her hands folded tightly in her lap. Every street they passed felt like another step away from the life she had known, and another step toward something she wasn't sure she wanted, or could escape. When the car turned into the private lane leading to the towering penthouse, her breath hitched. She wasn't impressed. She wasn't intimidated. She was simply aware, painfully aware, of the vast distance between her reality and his. The lobby was quiet and immaculate, wrapped in soft lighting and polished glass. Not flashy. Not showy. Just precise, like the space wasn't designed to impress people, only to shut them out. Inside the elevator, Elena watched her reflection in the steel panel. Dark circles beneath her eyes. Hair pulled back in a rush. Coat half-zipped. She looked like a woman visiting a world she didn't belong in. When the doors opened, she stepped into Julian's penthouse. It wasn't cold the way she had imagined. It wasn't even luxurious in the magazine sense. It was lonely, too quiet, too still, like a place built for someone who never invited the world in. "You can look around," Julian said gently. "There's nothing hidden." She walked toward the window, instinctively drawn to the city lights stretching endlessly beneath them. "This is where you live?" she asked softly. "It's where I sleep," he replied. "Living is different." The honesty surprised her. He motioned to the neatly arranged documents on the table. "Contracts. Full disclosure. You can read every clause." She skimmed them standing up, weighing every line as if it might decide her life, because in a way, it did. Debt repayment. Housing security. An education fund for Maya. A 1-year term. Legal protections. Everything she had asked for. "You didn't clean these up for me," she murmured. "These are written by someone expecting a fight." "Every negotiation should expect one," he said. She looked up. "Is that what I am? A negotiation?" "Yes," he answered. "A necessary one. But one I intend to honor." For the first time, something shifted inside her. Not comfort, not trust, but respect. She placed the documents down. "And what do you get out of this? Beyond the company?" He hesitated, not hiding, just choosing his words carefully. "I get certainty. A year where the board can't manipulate the trust. A year where I can breathe without watching Marcus circle every weakness." "And why me?" she pressed. "Because you didn't come here wanting anything from me," he said quietly. "You came for the truth." Her chest tightened. "I'm making a choice that affects my daughter. I can't risk being wrong." "I know." His voice softened, something fragile beneath it. "Let me prove I'm not the wrong choice. Tell me what you need." She didn't answer immediately. She walked the room, absorbing its stillness, its emptiness, its walls that felt like they had never been touched by anything warm. Finally, she stopped in front of him. "I need one promise, and it matters more than any contract." His eyes met hers. "If I can give it, I will." "Don't ever use my daughter as leverage," she whispered. "Not even once." Julian didn't blink. "You have my word." Something inside her unlocked. Not fully, not safely, but enough. "When do we do this?" she asked. "Tonight," he said. "Before midnight." "Then take me home," she whispered. "I need to pack Maya's things." He nodded. But as they walked toward the elevator, Julian glanced at her with an expression she didn't notice. Something like disbelief, mixed with the quiet hope that she'd say yes. The drive back felt heavier, not quieter. just full of unspoken questions neither dared to form. Julian didn't speak again until he parked outside her building. "I'll wait here," he said softly. "Take as long as you need." Inside, the apartment felt small, stale with last night's fear. Maya was still asleep on the couch, tiny hand curled against her cheek. Elena stood still for a long moment, looking at her daughter. The eviction notice. Her life built from scraps and exhaustion. A marriage to a billionaire. By midnight. Her breath broke, half disbelief, half grief. She brushed Maya's hair. "I'm doing this for you," she whispered. "For the days I can't keep pretending everything is fine." Maya rolled closer in her sleep, small hand gripping Elena's shirt, and that tiny gesture steadied her more than any contract ever could. Elena packed quietly, a few clothes, Maya's blanket, the chipped wooden toy, lavender lotion from the hospital. Everything fit in one small bag. Her entire life in a handful of items. Outside, Julian straightened when he saw her. And when he noticed Maya's blanket peeking out, something in him softened. "You ready?" he asked. "No," she said honestly. "But I'm going." "That's enough," he said quietly. He had already arranged a car seat for Maya. Another detail he hadn't mentioned. One that meant more than money ever could. As the car pulled away, Elena watched her building shrink behind them. Not regret, just the ache of letting go. "You can back out any time," Julian said. "I'm not backing out. I just didn't think my life would change in a day." He sighed. "Mine didn't change for years. Maybe this is what change looks like." The courthouse was nearly empty. Cold. Quiet. Surreal. The clerk barely hid her shock when Julian walked in with prepared documents. Signatures. Stamps. Whispers. Elena's hands trembled once. Julian noticed. He didn't touch her hand, just stood close enough that she felt steady again. 15 minutes before midnight, it was done. A marriage, not of vows or flowers, but of survival. Outside, the air felt sharper, almost electric. Julian held the marriage certificate like a man holding air for the first time. Elena wrapped her arms around herself. "Let's go," he said gently. "Tomorrow will be a lot." And for the first time, she realized she wasn't alone. Not anymore. The next morning, Elena woke to quiet she didn't recognize. Not the thin, echoing emptiness of her old apartment, but warm stillness. Safe stillness. She opened her eyes to the penthouse ceiling. Maya slept beside her, peaceful in a way Elena hadn't seen in months. Julian stood by the window, sleeves rolled up, coffee in hand, looking exhausted but human. "I had breakfast brought up," he said. "There's something for Maya too." Every detail he thought of for her daughter chipped away at Elena's defenses. He showed her the penthouse, not like a tour guide, but like someone trying to give her control she didn't have yet. "What do you expect from me?" she asked. "Nothing," he said. "Just be yourself." She wasn't sure how to do that in a place like this, but she appreciated the honesty. "This place is too quiet," she admitted. He studied her. "Too quiet. I can't sleep without noise. The city. Something. Silence feels like pressure." "I'll fix it," he said softly. And he did. That night, a soft hum of city sounds filled the room. Traffic, distant trains, the subtle heartbeat of urban life. A sound generator she hadn't even seen being installed. "You did that?" she asked. "You said silence felt heavy." Something in her shifted again. Later, she overheard his call. Quiet, controlled, tense. "No, Marcus doesn't know about the marriage yet. No, he'll push. I'll be ready." When he noticed her in the hallway, he only said, "You heard. Is this dangerous?" she asked. "Yes," he answered. "Because of everything Marcus is willing to do." It chilled her. The days settled into a fragile rhythm. She cooked. She cleaned. She walked the halls trying not to feel swallowed. She stayed herself. But on the third day, she noticed something in the documents. A pattern. A wrong pattern. Container weights. Number sequences. Violations of Benford's law. Not mistakes. Fraud. Sophisticated fraud. When Julian came home, she showed him. These numbers don't follow natural distribution, she said. Someone is faking shipments. He didn't dismiss her. He listened. Elena. This is serious. I know. No, you don't. If Marcus is doing this, this is federal crime. Then someone is lying to you, she said. And you're not the kind of man who pretends not to see. Something cracked in his expression. Show me everything, he said. And just like that, they became a team. Not by choice. Not by love. But by necessity. Their marriage was a contract. But this was partnership. As they worked through the night, the penthouse felt different. The space between them felt different. And for the first time since the papers were signed, Elena felt the faintest shift in the ground beneath their feet. As if the story had finally begun. This had taken months. Maybe years. Elena didn't soften her words. It required access. High-level access. Julian's eyes lifted to hers. Marcus. It wasn't a question. It was the first raw admission. Elena didn't speak right away. She needed him to reach the truth himself. Julian exhaled slowly, the breath of a man who'd known this answer long before he was ready to face it. He's been trying to force the board into giving him more control, Julian said. Last quarter's losses, he blamed them on my negligence. He's been waiting for an opportunity. This is his opportunity, Elena replied quietly. And my fault, Julian murmured. Why would you think that? She asked gently. Because I trusted him, Julian said. Because while I was trying to keep this company alive, he was carving it out from under me. I should have seen it. There was no arrogance in his voice, just the exhausted clarity of a man who had carried everything alone for far too long. This isn't your failure, Elena said. This is his deceit. Those are not the same. Something in Julian's expression broke for just a moment, like her words touched a place he'd kept locked away. He stared at her, searching her face to see if she meant it. She did. And that certainty softened something inside him he hadn't meant to reveal. Hours passed. They worked side by side, papers spread across the table like puzzle pieces no one wanted to finish. Eventually, Mia toddled out of the bedroom, rubbing her eyes. She walked straight to Julian, trusting him completely. Julian froze, then gently lifted her onto his lap. Sorry, Elena whispered. She usually sleeps longer. It's fine, Julian said. She's safe here. His hand rested on Mia's back. Simple, quiet, instinctive. It hit Elena harder than she expected. He wasn't pretending. He wasn't performing. He just cared. When Mia fell asleep again, Julian carried her to the bedroom with a tenderness the world would never believe he possessed. Elena stood by the window when he returned. Fear, resolve, and something unspoken flickered across her expression. Julian stepped beside her, leaving space. She didn't move away. You didn't have to help me, he said. Maybe not. But I know what happens when people in power get away with hurting others. I know what greed looks like when it rots something from the inside. You deserve more than this mess, Julian murmured. You deserve more than carrying it alone, she replied. Silence wrapped around them. Close, intimate. Julian finally said aloud what had lingered all night. Marcus is going to fight back. And he doesn't fight fair. I've been fighting unfair battles my whole life. A small, real smile touched Julian's lips. For the first time since this strange marriage began, he didn't feel like he was standing on thin ice alone. He had someone beside him, someone who didn't break, someone he could trust. But somewhere far below, something new was beginning to grow, something neither of them could name yet, but both felt. Marcus. Marcus Thorne always arrived early. He liked controlling the story of the day. Today, he intended to write all of it. He swept through Ether's executive wing, ignoring everyone, heading straight to the server logs. He opened the file, and froze. 2 new access signatures. Julian's. And someone else's. An account recently activated. Elena Harper. Marcus leaned back, amusement curling his lips. So that's your angle, Julian. You brought in a ghost. But beneath the amusement, something darker flickered. Fear. Someone had found threads he buried. Someone with access Julian shouldn't have given. The penthouse. Elena stood over the kitchen island, sorting reports. She didn't hear the elevator, only felt the presence behind her. Julian's face was carved from stone. What's wrong? He held out his phone. A flagged alert. Unauthorized access attempt. Harper. Her stomach dropped. I didn't access anything new. I know, Julian said. Then why? Because Marcus just found out about us, he said. About our investigation. Her chest tightened. Then he'll go after me. He already is. The boardroom. Julian insisted she come with him. The room was colder than usual. Every eye flicked to Elena like she was an intruder. Marcus stood when they entered, smiling like he'd been waiting to strike. So this is Elena, he said. Our new addition. He circled her like a shark. Background checks are routine. Imagine my surprise when your file revealed a discrepancy. Julian stiffened. Marcus. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure it was accidental. People make mistakes under pressure, especially when trying to buy medication. Elena froze. Her one mistake. The forged signature. The night her husband's pain had been unbearable. Marcus smiled. A forgery. A federal offense. Small, unless someone pushes it. Julian turned toward her, shocked, but not disappointed. Marcus leaned in. Here's the deal. Divorce her. Step down. I bury her record. Her daughter stays with her. No charges. Elena felt the world constrict. Julian inhaled sharply. Before he could speak, before he could ruin himself for her, Elena stepped away. Do it, she whispered. Julian stared, devastated. Elena. End the marriage. Her voice trembled, but her resolve didn't. I won't let Mia pay for my mistakes. I won't let your war hurt her. She walked out of the boardroom. And Julian watched her go, helpless. Elena leaves. She barely remembered getting out of the building. The freezing wind hit her like a shock. Her breath refused to come. Julian's face, hurt, torn, breaking, haunted her as she walked away. She packed silently, held Mia close, left the key card on the table, and with it, left the fragile safety she'd started to trust. Julian returns. The penthouse was too quiet. Elena. Empty nursery. Missing blanket. A single key card on the table. Julian closed his eyes. Pain ripped through him, raw and silent. He sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking. He hated Marcus. He hated himself. But more than anything, he hated that he'd let Elena walk away alone. Elena rebuilds. Back in her old building, she collapsed beside Mia. She had lost nothing material, but she had lost something she hadn't expected to value. Then she found the USB drive in her pocket. The data. The logs. The truth. Marcus hadn't shut her down. He'd awakened her. I'm not done, she whispered. She opened her laptop. Tonight, she wasn't afraid. She was who she used to be. A fighter, an analyst, a woman who saw through lies like glass. The library. The next morning, she went to the public library. Mia colored beside her. Elena opened the satellite imaging database. Factories operating at full output should glow with heat. They were cold. Every date Marcus reported production. Cold. 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 He wasn't making anything. He was stealing. She downloaded everything. She built a timeline so clear no one could deny it. She thought of Julian. Was he alone? Did he think she abandoned him? Was he blaming himself? Mia tugged her sleeve, holding up a drawing. Mama, look. That's the nice man. Elena's chest tightened. She kissed Mia's head, then gathered the evidence. It's time, she murmured. Time to stop running. The board vote. The board gathered to remove Julian as CEO. Marcus savored victory. Julian stood alone, empty-handed, exhausted. He had no proof. No Elena. Marcus lifted his hand. If there are no objections. The doors slammed open. Elena stood there, snow in her hair, laptop in her hands, eyes blazing. Julian's breath caught. Elena. Not yet. She connected her laptop. I have evidence of systemic fraud, she said. Not by Julian. By Marcus. Marcus scoffed, until she clicked. Satellite images. Cold factories. Empty shipments. Shell companies. Silence crushed the room. Marcus shot to his feet. This is forged. Enough, Julian said, stepping forward. You threatened her. You framed me. And you're done. Security escorted Marcus out. His empire collapsed behind him. Amid the chaos, lawyers, security, board members, Julian saw only her. He crossed the room. You came back, he whispered. I couldn't let him destroy you, she said. Not when I had the truth. And after what I said? You were trying to protect me, she said softly. I know that. Julian's voice broke. Elena. I'm sorry. She shook her head. Save it. We're not done until Marcus is gone for good. And together, no longer strangers, no longer bound by contract but by fire, they turned toward whatever came next. Partners.